What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, my gosh, we've made it. It is the final week of the season. Honestly, the season has flown by, except for the last week because of Catch Cup, but we have all three leagues available for the first time in a long time, and I hope Niantic sticks to this method because this is the best case scenario for the final week. 4 times Stardust, all leagues available. Choose how you want to battle. And today we're going to be checking out my best teams from this season in both the Great League and Ultra League. Unfortunately, I don't participate in Master League because of the extreme cost in order to get to it, but that's just my personal preference. I like Great League and Ultra League, so let's go ahead and dive right in. Team number 1 is going to be Defense Form Deoxys, Greninja, and Dewgong. Greninja was a new kind of meta Pokemon that rose up. There was a lot of hype and anti-hype around this Pokemon's release, but ultimately I think it lived up and went beyond expectations with the role that it fulfills, and that is going to be a sweeper on a team. With Water Shuriken, Hydro Cannon, and Night Slash, it has incredible coverage, high energy gain, and high damage output. Solid for both the Great League and Ultra League, but it needs to be on the team that is bulky and that can draw out its hardest counters while having good coverage to those. And that's why I decided to pair it with the core of Defense Form Deoxys and utilize Dewgong as a safe swap, because with Drill Run, you draw out Steel type Pokemon, or you can draw out Grass type Pokemon or Fighters and be able to do super effective or neutral damage to them, setting up your Greninja to sweep the endgame. Team number 2 is going to be Lantern, Serperior, and Medicham. Serperior got an update this season with Aerial Ace, instantly making it one of the top meta grass type Pokemon because of the coverage that it can have. And basically what that means is, can you handle a Medicham? Can you put in work against a Medicham? Serperior definitely can. It still needs to watch out for Ice Punch, but overall it has been a fantastic addition and a much needed bulky slot for the grass typing, which is needed because of how popular Pokemon like Lantern are. So we also pair it with a Water Gun Lantern. I want you guys to know that. That is to help out against Pokemon like Gligar and Charizard specifically, which are very common and good counters to Serperior. Medicham on this team is utilized as the safe swap to draw out any flyers like we are seeing with Mandibuzz right here in this battle, and we are able to easily take switch and lock down the Lantern with Serperior. And you guys can see it's extremely bulky and it still packs a punch. Serperior is one of the grass type starters that you need on your roster if you haven't built it already. Team number 3 is going to be Shadow Venusaur, Lantern, and Dewgong, a grass double water combination right here. Water Gun once again on the Lantern to help out again against Glygars and Charizard. Also does very good against Carbink, Bastiodon, Clodsire, you name it. That Water Gun damage is very, very helpful in this meta. Dewgong, probably one of the best safe swaps and one of the best bulky Pokemon to add on to your team because it always has a role to fulfill, whether that's drawing out hard counters, applying super effective damage, or doing what's called a setup with Icy Wind debuffs. Overall, this team was incredibly strong to use, very traditional ABB line, and Shadow Venusaur definitely packs a big punch in the Great League. Team number 4 is going to be another spin on a Greninja team, once again utilizing it as a sweeper, but instead of pairing it with Defense Form Deoxys and Dewgong, we are pairing it with Medicham and Registeel. This has been one of the top performing teams in the Great League on PvPoke, as it is incredibly bulky, has fantastic coverage, and really sets up the Greninja to sweep games. With Registeel's super hard hitting charge moves and utilizing it as a safe swap, you're always going to be drawing out stuff like Medicham, and you can apply that shield pressure with Zap Cannon, and overall just a fantastic team. Again, Greninja is utilized as the sweeper, and you need to play to that because once you have shield and energy advantage, there is nothing that can stop this thing. It will boom the meta. Team number 5 is going to be leaning back into starters here with a Charizard and Swampert core. Just because they've gone down in the rankings and the listings doesn't mean they still aren't incredibly strong. Charizard and Swampert have always had fantastic cross coverages, and overall just a very solid duo to have if you guys like using starter type Pokemon. Once again, there is rhythm to why some of my top performing teams are top performing, and that is because of Dugong. I think it has been one of the best updates getting access to Drill Run, and it is worth your legacy moves to, or legacy TMs to get both Ice Shard and Icy Wind. Overall, this is a fantastic Pokemon to add onto your roster. Though it is bulky, it is incredibly flexible and can meld with a lot of teams, as I've showcased today. This team is definitely built to boom, as we do have the Charizard Blast Burn and the Shadow Swampert Hydro Cannon. You guys can inverse the Shadows if you want to. This was just what I had available for me to use, but overall, an incredibly strong and fun team to use in the Open Great League. Team number 6 is going to the dark side. We're going to be utilizing Mandibuzz and Sableye as the back line, as this season really hasn't seen a ton of use in Fairy-type Pokemon. We've seen a big drop down in Azumarill. Yes, Carbink is around, but overall it's not too hard to handle with this team because of Defense Form Deoxys, and honestly Carbinks are seen more higher up in the rankings, which if you are lower, maybe trying to get to Ace, trying to get to Veteran, Carbink isn't gonna be as prevalent as it is on the leaderboards, just because of how strong it is. This Double Dark team obviously works incredibly well at handling a lot of the Ghost-type Pokemon that you potentially see in the meta, and a lot of the fighters. Metacham will not like this team because of the bulk on Defense Form Deoxys, the Sableye hard counter, and the Mandibuzz super effective damage with Aerial Ace. Overall, it was very, very strong, but you do need to watch out for the potential Fairy-type Pokemon, which could be around at your ELO range, so take that into account. But if you don't see it, turn to the dark side. Alright, moving into the Ultra League, I have 2 teams to showcase, and they were incredibly strong. These teams pushed me on the cusp of Legend when I did these sets, able to get to 29.97, 3 points away from Legend, but there's 2 different teams, and they both revolve around Steelix. You either love him or you hate him, but it doesn't matter because he is meta, so he's going to ignore the noise. Steelix has been an absolute dominant monster and one of the top, I would say, the best Pokemon in the Ultra League overall. It's incredibly powerful with that Breaking Swipe update paired with Dragon Tail and the Earthquake cross coverage. We utilize Giratina on the lead and Tapu Fini core. Tapu Fini, again, another fantastic Pokemon to have on your roster and a great counter to a Steelix if you guys are looking for that. This team was incredibly powerful and extremely bulky and overall very fun to run. And the final team is going to be Golisopod, Cobalion, and Steelix, utilizing a very solid core, a very flexible core as well with Golisopod and Cobalion, and using Steelix as the safe swap so that you can draw out some of those fighters in the meta like Virizion, Cobalion, and Poliwrath, giving room for Cobalion to sweep in the endgame. Golisopod as well has been very strong and a top performer for me and in the Open Ultra League overall from PvPoke because of the moveset of Shadow Claw, Aerial Ace, and Liquidation. Fantastic cross coverages to a lot of the meta, and Cobalion with Stone Edge is fantastic for a lot of the Charizards that you might see. Overall, this team performed extremely well for me. It's very traditional ABB line, and yeah, using Steelix. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. That was just a look back at some of my best teams that I ran this season in both the Great League and Ultra League. That doesn't mean you guys can't run others. This has just worked for me, right? And what you guys notice is a trend of Pokemon that I like to use that works for me. Dugong being one of them. Defense Form Deoxys. Utilizing that Greninja in the sweeper role. This is what I want to reference, or not reference to you guys, to emphasize to you all. That when you find Pokemon that work, Pokemon that are strong, Pokemon that handle the meta, and the Pokemon that you just vibe with, that you know in and out, like for me with Dugong, you need to leverage that. Leverage those Pokemon to help you climb and get consistent, and you can mix and match it on a lot of different teams like you guys seen with today's teams with Dugong. But overall, these were my best teams from the season. We have 1 week left with 4 times Stardust, so I wish you all the best as you guys grind and climb and have fun and go battling. So, hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.